Hello and welcome to the drug transport across the membrane topic. We have already seen the different way of transport of drug across the membranes, and we have already seen what is filtration and passive diffusions. Today we are going to see in detail about specialized transport. Now specialized transport is basically divided into two parts. One is carrier mediated, as the name suggests it requires carrier, and one is pinocytosis. Now, if we say carrier mediated, it is been divided into two parts. One is facilitated diffusion, and second is active transport. And then again, active transport is divided into two parts, that is primary active transport and secondary active transport. So, this is how specialized transport category gets classified. Now we'll see in detail about each of the transport system. First, let's talk about carrier mediated. Carrier mediated had two parts, facilitated and active. So first, let's talk about facilitated diffusions. Now, if you see in this figure here, there is two segment is been given. One is segment of lower concentration and second compartment is higher concentration of a drug. Here the drug gets transport from higher concentration into the lower concentration, but with the help of carriers, and that is called as solute link carriers. So drug carrier is needed here, but there is no energy is needed because of drug going from higher concentration to lower concentrations, so no energy is needed. Transport is along the concentration gradient, so from higher concentration to the lower concentration, and it's a downhill movement. Okay, so it's simple as passive diffusion, but here in passive diffusions no carrier was required. Here the carrier is required. Example is glucose, the entry of glucose into the muscle cells with the help of special transporters that are called as GLUT4 transporters. Second part of carrier mediated transport is active transport. Here it's a bit opposite. So here we are going from lower concentrations to the higher concentrations. So we need two things. One, we need carrier as it's been written here, and second, we need energy. So both the things needed. So we need carrier and we need energy as well. So it's transport or the movement across the concentration gradient from lower to the higher, and it's been seen at particular sites like renal tubules, blood-brain barrier. You can say this kind of transport. This active transport is now primarily divided into two portions, that is A, primary active transport, and B, secondary active transport. Now let's see what primary active transport is. Here, as it was mentioned, drug is this triangular shaped molecule goes from lower concentration to the higher concentrations, okay, with the help of carrier. But here energy is needed, and energy is being produced with the help of ATP destruction. So ATP helps creating energy, carrier helps molecule to go across the concentration gradient. Simple, there is only one molecule going from lower concentration to the higher concentration, and it needs energy and it needs carrier. So this is primary active transport as we have seen. But what happens in secondary active transport? In secondary active transport, apart from this triangular shaped primary molecule, we are also having a secondary molecule which is round shape. So here there is movement of both the primary as well as secondary molecules. In this figure, you can see the primary molecule, which is triangular shape, is being transported from lower concentration to the higher concentration. So the movement is this side. But what happens to that red molecule? This small red molecule which is having higher concentration of theirs, which goes to the their lower concentrations. So in short, the movement is similar as primary molecule. So primary molecule going from this to this side, and secondary molecule is also been going from this to this side. So it's a similar direction movement, and this is called symports. What happens here? Here the triangular shape molecule going from lower concentration to the higher concentration, and that is why it is called active transport. But what happens to secondary molecules? Secondary molecule is going opposite to the direction of primary. So primary molecule is going in this direction, secondary molecule is coming in these directions. So here there is opposite movement of primary and secondary molecule, and because of this secondary molecule, this transport is called secondary active transport. Here energy is being generated through the movement of this secondary molecule. No ATP is needed, and that is why it is called a secondary active transport. Similar side of movement is called symport, opposite side of movement, these are called antiports. So in nutshell, passive diffusion in which energy is not needed, even carrier is not needed, and you are going downhill from higher concentration to the lower concentration. Similarly, but only carrier is needed, that is facilitated diffusion. But in active transport, you are going uphill against the concentration gradient, so you need carrier as well as energy. So thank you very much. Hope you have understood it. We'll lastly see pinocytosis. Pinocytosis is a special movement of molecule from extracellular site to the intracellular site. Here the molecules get trapped inside this bleb-like structure which has been created by membranes. The plasma membranes of certain cells create those kind of structures in which the molecule gets trapped, and eventually this membrane gets sealed off and vesicle is being produced, and this molecule is being released inside the cell. So this kind of movement is seen with transport of certain proteins, toxins, certain vitamins in newborns. So this is not a generalized, specific sites produces this kind of transport system. Hopefully you have understood this specialized transport system. If you have any query, you can comment in the comment section. Thank you very much.